Going to Zoom. I'm live. Now, what about YouTube? There we go. Yay! Good morning, everyone. My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to New Light Streaming Love. Today is Monday, December the 23rd, 2024. And it's so interesting because right before I hit the go button, I was feeling great. I was feeling definitely that I was to come and do a live. And right before I hit the go button, I don't know, it's like the energy changed. And I didn't want to not hit that go button because I'm not quite sure what that was about. But when I ask myself what it was about, I was flashed what I was shown yesterday. So I don't know what any of that means, but apparently I am at least to share what I was flashed when I ask what that was about. Okay, so some of you, I know most of you are new here, you didn't know me from the other channel, um, from Conscious Conversation Central, or from uh, Corona Rising, or from Sassy Seer Sheila. Some of you just found New Light Streaming Love, for which I am ever so grateful, right? But just all of a sudden, I guess it's not really all of a sudden, back before the summer, I was nudged to start going through some of my books because I was going to be letting go of some of my books. And I was nudged at one point, um, some time ago, and I didn't understand the nudge. I really did not understand it, but I, again, promised to follow my nudges. So I did as I was bade to do. And that was to collect as many of, because I had seen this movie, The Celestine Prophecies, or Prophecy, but I've never read the book. And as I was going through my books, um, like I said, this was prior to the summer. I want to say the spring of 2024. Um, and this was one of the things I was nudged to hang on to. And then the desire to do this in a book club type setting with other beings uh, participating started to rise within me. And um, again, I don't understand the why of it. I just know that I would like to, it's there, it's drawing me in. Well, yesterday I was shown a trailer of something new that I guess has been being hyped quite a bit. And I had seen, I guess I must have seen at least a poster or something, but no trailer until yesterday. I was shown a trailer to this new thing called homesteading. And it hit me. Is that why? Is that why I've been drawn toward this? If you are not at all familiar with James Redfield's The Celestine Prophecy, I I highly encourage you to seek this out. I've been trying to find, I wish I owned the movie so that I could do a screening of, invite people into my Zoom and we could watch it. And maybe I could figure out a way to do that. I think that would be a lovely way to start this off. Maybe that's what I will try to find out a way to do that. Um, but after seeing that trailer yesterday, I and I was flashed that again this morning now when I was asking the question, what is this energy that felt like it wanted to knock me off from doing this live? And I was flashed. So I don't know what any of that means. Investigate a watch party. Celestine prophecies. See, and I'm thinking, I'm wondering if there's a larger part of me that didn't feel this sort of thing coming because the minute the minute I saw that trailer, I was like, wow, because that is a huge, there's a lot in that. There's a lot in just the trailer that I saw. And apparently, this is not just a movie, it's some sort of new way of hyping a series of some sort. So I'm not quite sure exactly what all of that is about or what it is indicative of. But the very fact, I feel like that is what in some way prompted this. And so if you are interested in participating in a book club where the idea is we get together and we read the book together. We don't read it and then come and discuss it. We read the book together. For me, I enjoy this. If this is not something you enjoy, then this wouldn't be for you. I have found over the last few years with Lisa's book club groups that because it was Lisa's idea that she started this with the book clubs, and we are doing another book club right now, but I am feeling very strongly about this. There are several of these books James Redfield wrote, and in company with somebody else, he wrote these little guides that can be used like experiential guides. I don't know the first thing about them, but again, I found all of these used in different areas and I was nudged when I saw them to grab them. And so, again, because all I've done is followed my intuition, my inner guidance about this, and done that, I'm just curious to see where this is all leading. So, if that's something you're interested in, I want to start this. Hopefully, we are moved in and all settled and everything by the first week in February. That is my goal. So, if you are interested in joining me for that, there's no cost. We're not, that's not what any of this is about. And we'd love to have you just send an email with Celestine Prophecies in the subject title and include the day. Give me at least 2 days of the week that you feel like you would be available. One of those days be a daytime time, like daylight hours. One of those being evening hours. And just, because I'm trying to figure out what would also be the best day of the week, the best time, that sort of thing. So right now, our other group meets on Fridays from 1 to 3 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm open because one member of that group is in the UK. So I'm open to these times being different because I don't have a regular job like other folks. Ooh, very fortunate in that respect. Uh, Tubira of the Waters. Oh, I love this. This is beautiful. Card number 37. Ooh, that feels like a very multi-dimensional card. And there was a second one that came out actually. Penelope Dreamweaver. Oh, these two together actually are very interesting. They make an interesting combination for me. Very dreamy, very emotional. Oh, that's a word I just heard. Very emotional. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? The coloring on them is very similar. Card number 37, which is a one numerologically. Oh, and card number 28, which is a one numerologically. Very interesting. Made up of different numbers to support them. That's also interesting. In Tabira of the Waters, we have a 3 and a 7. So the Trinity and the divinity of that card is the foundation of that one. For Penelope Dreamweaver, we have a 2 and an 8, which, for me, the 8 is the upward facing infinity symbol. It is the, metaphorically speaking, for me, it is the correct way for the infinity symbol to actually be. And it has something to do with, and again, this is just my guidance explaining things to me in a way that I might could grasp this more advanced concept. So your mileage absolutely will vary, but for me, it's a very real thing because it's sort of like we come up into these other realms and then we also dive back down into this more dense I don't know, it's all tied to materialization, not just manifestation, but materialization. And for me, the number 8 has always been about that. I don't know why that is, but it just is. Oh, she says as she pulls the number 8 card, the cosmic heart. Okay, that's so very interesting. Oh, Vanessa, good morning. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you as well. I got to be honest with you. I don't know, probably because I'm, you know, Christmas doesn't hold the same sort of magic for me that it did in the way distant past. And that sounds so weird because it's not all that far. I'm not all that old, but at the same time, I feel like a completely different person. Part of it is that peace on earth that everybody always yeah, but at this time of year, and well, but see, I know that we can live like that all at all time of the year. So it doesn't have the same connotation, I guess, for me. Plus, well, my child is, was 42 yesterday. It was his birthday. So, and he's my only one. And yes, I do have a granddaughter. I'm not much in the mood either, but I'm trying. Well, here's the thing for me. I'm in a celebratory mood. I don't really have to label it as this, that, or the other. And it doesn't have to be marked by whatever traditions have always dictated. That's the thing. I'm not holding it against anybody else either. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to say that the way somebody else wants to celebrate at this time of the year is wrong. I was holding it like that for a while because I was like, it's like it had become so commercial in that as I started waking up to the truth of who I suspect I was and what we're doing here on the planet, and I would see the way we all behave about stuff, I was like, what is that? But and it just started to feel ew and gooey, and I don't want no parts of that, kind of feel. And I get it that not everybody is there yet, right? And may not ever be there, and that's okay too. Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you. Um, yeah, no, this is, I don't know. It's also different for me because really understanding that everybody's perspective is completely unique on a level that it's one thing to know that to grasp the truth of that statement over here, but it's something completely different to totally feel that statement all the way in. I don't know because it's the difference between an intellectual exercise and an alchemical epiphany for me. It's like intellectually, I know we are all one and yet singular. And so I also know that that means that we all have access to the same information, but we also don't have access to that information. Or we keep said information at bay until such time as we are ready to receive said information. Or at least that's the way it has been for me. I love this because this is so me. Surrender your desire to control people. I haven't felt to reach out and grab these cards of late, the surrender deck, but I did today, right? And I'm telling you, through this the move situation we got going on here, I'm watching myself real close. I'm paying real close attention to me and everything that is arising within me. And yes, I still have the desire to want to control everybody. I know the best way to do this, y'all. Gotta listen to me. Oh my gosh. And that's a very real thing that I feel like and not everybody can see that or is ready to address that within them own selves yet, which I get. Man, I am at that place for me, and so I'm watching myself real close. So that is just so funny to me. Being over controlling can sabotage relationships. To more effectively achieve your goals, back off, regroup, and give the situation some breathing room. I find this hysterically funny for myself because that's what I keep telling myself, just back up, Jackson. You ain't gonna be, first of all, I'm not gonna be in charge of everything. This will be the first time ever in Sheila's life that she is not only not in charge of everything, she's not in charge of anything. So, this is hysterically funny to me for me today. That it come out right now. That is so funny to me. So funny to me. Oh my. Mm-mm-mm. Well, I hope everybody is finding a reason. If for no other reason, like I say, for me, I really do feel very grateful just to still be breathing. If you knew me just a few short years ago, you would know how true that statement actually is. So it's all been gravy, and that's why I've enjoyed this quest that I'm on so much because it's all been just delightfully delicious for me. Okay, so this is earlier disappointments were just rehearsal for great stuff coming your way. Never regret love, no matter how blind it improved your vision, no matter how foolish it made you wiser, and no matter how generous it made you more. Hubba hubba, the universe. I love that. That's beautiful because it's very true. I've come to see that I don't regret any of my relationships on any sort of level, including and most especially those actually that didn't work out because it doesn't change how I felt about those people in any sort of way. How disingenuous it would be to for it to then change how I feel or had felt. No, yeah, no, no matter how I might label a situation in the moment, in the heat of the moment, either. I now have been shown in so many ways, um, where I've done that way ahead of time. It's like, oh, you haven't had enough time go by to be able to properly label that because you're making a whole shit ton of assumptions to be able to label that in this particular way at this juncture. For me, I keep showing myself where that's a very real, that happens more than we even realize. Wow, and it came straight open to her page. I thought that it came open to Penelope's page, but no, it came straight to the first card, Tabira of the Waters. And the key words for this card actually are emotions, serenity, meditation, gracefully accepting change. For a moment, close your eyes and let yourself feel the cool, sparkling fairy waters flowing through your fingers. Imagine drinking this sparkling coolness from your own cupped hands and imagine the water flowing down your throat. You may even be able to feel that magical energy filled coolness right now through you to your right through to your toes. Feel better? Throughout the world, there are healing wells, both for general health and specific ailments. In modern times, many of their fairy specialties, I'm sorry, fairy qualities have been diluted. Even though Tabira and her healing helpers do all that they can to keep them clear and potent. Fairy waters reflect the emotional state of the human people around them. So, well, and I want to say this about that. I was shown some time ago, actually, when I first started getting my brain fog cleared from all the illness that I was moving through at that time and started taking my health back into my own hands. I was shown very clearly the truth about the fact that water does store memory. It is memory. It stores memory. It is a liquid crystal in many ways. And we put it through quite a bit for it to get to us. It goes through a water treatment facility where it's treated anything but kind or in a kind manner at all. And then it comes through pipes and underneath facilities that all manner of things are happening and frequencies it gets exposed to. And so I was shown and that is why not one drop of water passes my lips, but what I don't thank it for everything it had to go through to get to me, because it went through quite a bit. to get through to me, and I want it to know how grateful I am for its journey. And that changes everything, by the way. For me, I feel as though it certainly has changed the way I interact with all of my surroundings, and my surroundings interact with me. And we can believe that that doesn't make a difference if we wanna. I think we might make that we I personally, I get, maybe it's because I believe that that's a real thing, that I can point to how much younger I look and how much better I feel and how I'm not on death's door. So there's that, right? So I think there's something to all of that. Um, There are many healing fairies who help Tabira do the best they can under the circumstances to purify the waters, and they try to maintain their own merry spirits to give added power to the waters. We can help the fairies by creating more merriment in the lives of others and in our own lives. In addition to the healing wells, there are wells and springs that bestow wisdom or skill upon the drinker, like the famous Hippocrene fountain on Mount Helicon, which bestows poetic inspiration. I suspect it of being a fairy fountain because of the way it works. If you have one drink, you gain a certain level of poetic ability. Another draught brings you more, and the third brings you to the full flower of poetry. The reason the world is not overrun with magnificent poets is because, first, it is very difficult to find the spring, and second, the water packs such a wallop that most people stagger off after a single drink or two, and you only get one chance at the spring. There are also the fountains of youth, like the one on Dun Eye, the highest hill on Iona, a magical isle on the west coast of Scotland. I looked and looked for this fountain, but I didn't find it. I shall have to try again the next time I'm there, because I'm much more in need of it now than I was all those years ago. Water is mutable, changeable fluid. And Tobiras speaks to us of a particular kind of change of emotions, and possibly a change in health. We have important choices to make about how we meet those changes and where we let them take us toward. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is also showing me right now that don't label something as disastrous at the outset of it, because that seals its fate often enough. I've seen it way too much. Somebody goes to the doctor and they get this diagnosis, and then the next thing you know, they're out of here because they said that this is what's happening and that equals this. And because we are so quick to simply believe everything that we're told. That, boy, that came in really strong. I guess because I've also been made aware of some others around me that this has just happened to again, right? It's like some diagnosis came, and then in a very short time afterward, that being has already stepped off the planet. Why hang around? I mean, that's the that I mean, at least that's a huge puzzle piece for me. I've seen it time and time again. Um, Tabira reminds us the choice is obvious. Wait a minute, I'm skipping around here. We have important choices to make about how we meet those changes and where we let them take us toward the calm, flowing purity of the fairy waters, or the boiling cauldron of hot temper and steamy emotions. The choice is obvious, but We sometimes forget that we have it. Tabira reminds us that we do have a choice, and making it wisely or unwisely determines our future. The things we need in life remain constant no matter what is going on or how hectic the changes and pressures in our life may be. The only thing for me there is I've been actually asked to examine the things I think I need to, because that's partly, I thought I needed to control everybody. You see what I mean? So there's that too for me anyway. That I've got that added little caveat right up in there. Um, so I have to keep that into check. The things we need in life remain constant, no matter what is going on or how hectic the changes and pressures in our life may be. We need nurturing and love, and it is ultimately up to us to provide that for ourselves. The healing fairies will help us if we ask them to. Well, I feel like that's very interesting that it come up in that particular fashion at this particular juncture because of what I was just made aware of. Very interesting. Okay, so hmm. Now let's see what Penelope Dreamweaver has to say about all of this. Her key words here to this card are inspiration, magical dreams, visions. Okay. Weaver of dreams, bringer of visions, muse of artistic inspiration. Penelope weaves tapestries in the mind with threads of light, color, and sound. When she comes to us in dreams, we waken under her enchantment and rush for our paints or clay or other forms of expression. And those forms can take on a myriad of different ways, by the way. Again, I keep being shown how quickly I personally have been taught to label things in order to put it in a category so that I could judge something as safe or good for me or whatever, right? And by slowing my cognitive processes down and questioning myself about certain things, that's where I've come to see things a little bit differently in regards to that. And it's not always what we have assumed or what we can assume, or at least that's what I keep being shown. In this painting, Brian has shown us Penelope, his own inspiration fairy, but we each have one who is more than willing to help us. Mine says to call her Grace because she says she isn't exactly someone I deserve, just someone I'm lucky enough to have in my life. She plays hard at inspiring me, as does Penelope with Brian. Penelope says she is very pleased with Brian's results of her inspirations. But when I looked hopefully at Grace to see what she thinks about me, she just shrugs her shoulders. Then she flashes me a wicked grin, so I think it is all right. Inspiration fairies like their jobs, but they get really bored when people don't pay attention to them. And see, this is what I'm saying for myself. I've come to see where only if I allow it, only if I open myself up to seeing it, to knowing that I apparently use everything in my sometimes I'm actually back there chonking stuff at the back of my head saying, can't you see that? Come on, girl. I'm telling you, that sometimes I know that's not my soul. That's more That is really more of Smarmy's depiction of what it must feel like to be myself. Trying to get Smarmy's attention is all I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? This is what it feels like sometimes because there's a once I finally get it, once I finally see how hard I was trying to communicate something to myself, it that's when it gets really uber funny. Because it's like, well, duh, that's been there the whole damn time. I'm just going do, like I don't even see it because apparently I didn't. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just I don't get to. I'll be having a very long conversation with fairies. I think. Well, I think that's beautiful. I really there's something there about the whole thing with the fairies for me too, as you may know. Then they sit around and file their fingernails while they think troublesome and mischievous thoughts. Sometimes they get exasperated enough to send us nightmares in an attempt to get us to wake up. That's why I said sometimes it feels like there's a chunk at the back of my head. It's like I only been back here trying to ring the doorbell or something to get your attention. You know, these fairies and their sisters, the fairies of expression, work together as teams, helping us in our creative endeavors. The fairies of inspiration sprinkle us with special inspirational fairy dust so that we come up with ideas, rather like fertilizing a plant. And you know what plants are fertilized with, Grace says. Then our sisters, the fairies of expression, help us to give form to our creativity, manifesting it with our own particular talents. And because I happen to know that this is the next card coming, which is an eight, which I got through saying was the upward facing infinity symbol that really speaks more to materialization than it does to manifestation. I find this highly interesting here because nothing in the new will be created until it is imagined and pulled out of the pre matter template and pulled into the physical. So it has to be created and dreamt of, imagined into, because everything, these, the phones we have, everything we have that we can lay our hands on or whatever was imagined first. Just feel into that for a second. So that is that's very interesting to me that this come up in this way. Seek visions and inspiration. Be aware that they are often subtle and require close attention. Fantasies, dreams, and daydreams are all places an inspiration fairy can contact us, but she can also pop up unannounced in the midst of the most ordinary activities in the bath, washing the dishes, driving the car, or anywhere else that our mind is half occupied and half running on idle, which is mostly everywhere because that's how we've actually figured stuff out. I mean, pay special attention to unsought inspirations at this time. They have something wonderful to offer you, but it is up to you to catch them and bring them into reality. Wow, just like my noticing of my desire to pull the Celestine prophecy out of the realm of fiction into a group setting to help it begin to be in the consciousness and practice it into the physical. And then I get shown this other thing that I don't know. It's just very interesting that's being shown to me again here about how things are so interconnected, and it is up to us to see that thread, right? Wow. So let's see what this last one has to say here because oh my goodness gracious, I'm just the Rumi card. Number 8. Like I said, for me, that's the upward facing infinity symbol. And it is the cosmic heart. I was dead. I became alive. I was tears. I became laughter. The power of love arrived and made me everlasting power. I have seen everything. I have no fear. I have the heart of a lion. I shine like Venus. Remy. I hear it and weep. In sublime reverence, I bow to this living, beating, loving heart of the universe. It echoes throughout all of creation. Once, some time ago, I was deaf. I had not heard one true sound. Much noise, but no truth. So I believed in many things not worth believing in. Oh my God, that is. I don't know, but to sit here in this moment of now, 11:43 on 12/23/24, and realize at 63 years of age that most everything I have been taught or come to think of as true in my life is not at all on any sort of level what I was led to believe. And that has now, like I said, made everything else suspect. Everything. And so I cannot in all good conscience simply, I mean, everything is up for review now for me because I see where I've made so many assumptions. That's what this is saying here, too, right? For me, now that I've seen this and I know this to be a truth, I had not heard one true sound, much noise, but no truth. So I believed in many things not worth believing in. Then, in a moment of my crisis that cracked my heart open, I was given a gift. Though I felt fear and confusion, a gift came to me more powerful than those temporary ailments. That gift was the ability to hear the sound hidden beneath all of life. I heard it, that sacred sound of the beating heart of the universal love. Now I know that belief in unworthy things like fear and doubt is lunacy. Even my loneliness became unconvincing to me, which is kind of where I feel like I'm sort of at the moment. It's like, um, that's just a thing that's not even real. We are animated by this living heartbeat, part of life that is sustained by it. You and I, the planets, the birds, the fishes, emerge from the great source because of this beating heart of the universe. It pumps life through our veins. What proof of this is needed? You live. That is the proof. I hear it everywhere now. It has become so loud, louder than any word of fear. It resonates through my soul and eclipses any tremor of anxiety. I really do feel like that does not mean I don't get frightened because I do, but there's a difference for me from being startled and frightened and moving over into full blown fear, active. Let's stoke up that fear volume, baby, because there is a difference, and for me anyway, I've tracked that, and because I've watched myself stoke my own little fear thing. I've seen it. I've watched myself do it. So I know that's that's a real thing for me at least. And again, everybody's mileage will vary absolutely. As you watch yourself, as you learn about yourself, if that is your quest, because it may not be what you're doing. Um, so yet there is a time on the journey of love when the beloved, that would be you and me, sweet soul, is prepared to engage more completely with the heart of the divine lover. The preparation will be a rich process, spiritually speaking. It may also feel like being beaten. Yeah, pummeled, simmered, and stirred in the pot of the divine master chef. Just a little bit, yeah. Not going to lie about that. To become a sacred and savory meal fit for the most heavenly of feasts. This is a courageous and bold process, one that will create the most delicious aromas in the soul. And yet, it is one that will likely take us right to the places we would rather avoid, places of confrontation with pain, but where the loss of its grip on our being no longer lets us quake and retreat from life in fear or uncertainty. That's a real thing that's describing there, for me anyway. Because if that fear loses its grip on me, what else you got? Right? That's been that's been my thing of late, right? If you ain't got that to hold over my head, what else you got? Let's look at what else do we got. I can because there's parts of me that tries to throw shit up in my, oh, but what about this? Right? So that's what part of that is. Okay, so what else you got? Yep. Yet it is one that will likely take us right to the places we would rather avoid, places of confrontation with pain, but where the loss of its grip on our being no longer lets us quake and retreat from life in fear or uncertainty. You have been through these tantalizing trials, the push to surrender fear, the realization your attempts at control amount to not so much, actually. Yes, that's true. That's why I got to surrender my desire to control people because I still got that going on. I'll tell you. Um, that's a real that's one that's been real. Yeah, that's one that's been real hard. Uh, and interesting to watch myself still and yet, uh, still and yet trying to, be the one to take the reins because I think I know better than everybody else. You have been asked to become comfortable with the possible discomfort of not knowing and to understand you don't have to understand anything for life to work out with perfect synchronicity and generous grace. Obviously, that's a true statement. That's you have been asked to bear darkness without losing hope for the return of the light. You have been asked to trust in your own heart wisdom when your mind was terrorized by nightmares and hallucinations of fear. They were so powerful, you were certain they must be real, that you must be crazy not to run and hide somehow, somewhere. And yet, here you are, still loving, still wise, and ready for a love bigger than you have ever experienced before. I'm ready. So we step forward together, you and I. I link my arm through yours and I urge you on. Let us run together and jump over the edge. No more halfway living in any way for you and me. I'm going to tell you that's the truth of it, man. I'm telling you, the clearer I get within myself, the more at peace and at home and I don't know how to describe it, restful. All of it feels just so. I've heard people use the term that the peace that passes all understanding or whatever that kind of thing is. It's a very interesting feeling. I've never had it before. It's really um, become very. It's beginning to be seated within me in a way that's not I've not experienced before. Well, I feel like there's more of the larger part of me in here, even more, if that makes any sense. But anyway, okay, so we will weep crystal clear tears and we will laugh with such joy that stars will burst forth, borne upon our exhalations. We will hear the beating of the cosmic heart pounding in our ears, and how we shall dance to it. That sacred, intoxicating rhythm moves hips and hands and hearts, raising the soul from slumber. But that heart does beat so loud, it can be startling to the parts of you unused to such wild, unconditional affection and rowdy playfulness. You may worry that this great love is not going to be careful enough with you. What if you get tossed around in the great oceans of love? You will surely be disoriented and become lost to the world you once knew. How then will you know where to go? Fear not, my soulmate. Love has its wisdom and its way. We shall become lost in its genius together, whilst our minds are tipped this way and that, tumbled in love's great waves. I submit to myself to consider for my own consideration. Oh, you can think you was in charge all that other time. If you really want to, you could think you was in charge of all of that took place before this new thing you think you woke up to. But it's really, I see now that in many ways, the soul gets what it came for one way or the other. It just because it's very patient. It knows that we are eternal, that the divinity that actually is running the whole show is eternal. So the soul is very patient. Not got to push why they want to push. What, where would the fun be in that? That's not part of the equation. That's not part of the equation. The well, okay, so maybe this is just for me. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's part of my equation is to become conscious to how creation actually works. And it, the little being, the little personality inside, get a little taste of it before, I don't know whatever the next step is likely to be or whatever that is. You know what I mean? When we don't, any of us really know what the next step actually is. We only know what we've been told and what it gets depicted as, too. That's the other thing that keeps being shown to me over and over and over again. So that's very interesting that it come up in just that way. Hmm. Um, Whilst our minds are tipped this way and that, tumbled in love's great waves, we shall be forced to surrender our useless intelligence and become mindless. Then how easy it shall become for the perfection of love to guide us. For there shall be nothing within to question and resist. We will no longer have to find the way. We will have become the way. That is something that um, both the Joshua channelings and a soul's journey, kind of drove home for me is that part of the drive of the light workers' desire to help has to do with moving from the ego based consciousness to the heart based consciousness. And I see that as being what I'm doing. I'm moving from an ego based consciousness to a heart based consciousness. Not everybody is doing that in the physical vessel, uh, or attempting that is what I should say, right? Right. Why did that come in that particular way? Oh, that's right, because of the whole uh the whole thing about having to label things for myself. We will no longer have to find the way, for we will have become the way. That's what it they both of those books drove home for me. As we each find our own way, that way becomes available to others, not so that it would be an identical roadmap, because that's not how any of this would work. The quest is different for each, but one if one becomes a bit of a puzzle piece collector, your puzzle pieces, the ones that are for you, will light up. At least that's the way it feels for me. That's the way my guidance it has shown me in my questioning of myself. Things sort of light up, or highlight or call attention to themselves in some sort of way, right? And I feel like that's what this is referring to here. This oracle comes with special guidance for you. More love is rushing towards you like a great cosmic tsunami. Oh, that's lovely. Who doesn't like that idea? Right? You will struggle with this blessing to the extent that you will attempt to hold on to what has been. So don't. Let go. Let it move you. You'll perhaps get some water up your nose, but nothing will come to you that you cannot handle. I do feel like that's so. I even, like I said, I've said this a lot lately, even that I feel at this juncture that my greater being will not give me anything that I cannot handle, that I'm not ready to handle. That's why I feel like if something scary shows up in my room, some entity that feels like it's whatever, whatever, right? Because I've had this happen. um, no, if it shows up in my room, there's something, it's there because there's a reason. and it's for me to figure out what it is. And so far, my experience has been that it's another portion of me that just wants to be loved into wholeness. Because again, I'll point to the star seed shattering that I read, the star seed contract that I go back here on the channel and find the star seed contract by Zingdad. It was channeled by a fellow named Zingdad. He was channeling Adamu, a monadic entity of the Pleiadian society. It's an oversoul for the Pleiadian society. And I thought it was very interesting because that feels like that was related to that, why I brought that forward there. So you'll be too caught up in the wonder of perfection, realizing how deeply loved you are and how unnecessary it is to contrive a way to live your purpose. Instead, you'll have no idea what is going on. Uh, well, that'll be all right too. I really don't have any idea what's going on right now. You'll be surrendered in passionate embrace with life, simply being your exquisite, crazy, unique self, saturated with divine love. Well, hey, I'm all about that. I'm all right with all of that. It will drip from you out of your feet, your eyes, your voice, your touch. You'll water the earth with love's oceanic presence. Oh, how that tsunami will deliver you into your divine destiny. No need for any contrivance. Let your hair get messed up. Your destiny awaits you now. Oh my goodness. Well, listen, and I will tell you what, this whole entire thing here that I just did, this whole entire reading feels very much to me like this. I've okay, so I am going to be checking into where I can find that. I'd love to be able to figure out a way to do a watch party for that movie so that I could and a little discussion group so that folks could decide whether or not they'd like to get involved in a group like that because it it feels important and it feels I feel it again here with this reading. So um but because I also know that I gotta practice that. There can be no hostages on the journey. So everybody has to figure out for themselves if they want to come and play or not, right? So, wow, this has really been a very interesting reading today for me. I hope it has been for you because, oh my gosh, it feels pretty big actually. I'm laughing with you regarding not knowing what's going on. I've given up trying to make sense of many things. Well, me too, to be honest with you, because here's the thing. I don't have to know all of what's going on. That is part of that whole divisionary thing of uh, if it's not right in front of me, I'm not. That's why I am a big proponent of moving towards that which you are drawn, because there's something there for you. No matter how you might label it before the fact, or even as you're moving through it, right? It might be something that you're holding as not good for you, but there's something there for you, or you wouldn't be there. For me, that's what again, everybody's mileage absolutely will vary, but this has been my experience for myself. I can label things in whatever fashion I feel I need to in the moment to get me from A to B, whatever the situation is, because that's how things like that present, right? But later on, after the fact, after everything is all said and done, there's been so many times that I have seen that I may have labeled something as a traumatizing tragedy in the heat of the moment, or this huge mistake that I have adjudged in the heat of the moment as a mistake, or as something I did wrong, or somebody else did wrong, or whatever the case may be. And it was exactly what needed to happen. Was it comfortable? No, no, not under any sort of circumstances. But, and that's why I said for me, I'm at this point in my life, I've seen enough of my own puzzle pieces now to feel like that's why that's a saying. You are not given more than you can handle. That's a saying for a reason, because I really feel like that's a true statement. That's an overall true statement, because we're the ones doing the handing out. I, I believe you once, believe me, for me, once I started taking responsibility for every corner of my life, I could see where that's a true statement. I hand my power over to a lot of stuff. A lot of it was a whole lot of assumptions that I just assumed were true because that's the way I was taught my whole life. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. It sure has been for me. Let me know if you're interested in doing that with the Celestine prophecies. And is there anything else? I don't know. I probably will not be here tomorrow at all, depending on what's going on. Yeah. I feels like there was something trying to come in, but now it's like floated in, but it's gone now. Well, I would love to hear from any of you guys how you feel about what this reading has meant for you today. None of my readings are for everybody, but if you've been drawn here, there may be something here for you, and I would love to hear from you if that is the case. So until we meet again, I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It is just a matter of your perspective. Till we meet again, be well, my friends.